It was supposed to be an ordinary day, just a quick stop at the bank, nothing out of the ordinary. But for Marcus, a hard-working man who'd been a loyal customer for years, that simple errand turned into an experience he'd never forget. Dressed in his usual business attire, he walked confidently through the doors of his own bank, expecting nothing more than a routine transaction. But instead of being greeted with the usual courtesy, he was met with suspicious glances and a cold reception. The branch manager, a woman named Karen, didn't bother to ask questions or check any details. She simply assumed the worst. Without hesitation, she accused Marcus of trying to access an account that wasn't his. Her tone sharp, her words dripping with condescension, she called for security before Marcus could even explain. Customers watched in awkward silence, some whispering, others pulling out their phones, sensing that something wasn't right. But no one stepped in. No one questioned the manager's assumptions until one of her colleagues, a young teller named Jenna, decided to look a little closer. As Marcus stood there, embarrassed and frustrated, Jenna discreetly pulled up his account information. What she saw made her heart drop. Marcus wasn't just a customer. He was one of the bank's top-tier clients with impeccable credentials. The account in question, his, without a doubt. The truth was undeniable. Jenna rushed to the manager, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination, and whispered the truth. The color drained from the manager's face as she realized her mistake, a mistake rooted in snap judgments and bias. But the story doesn't end there. What happened next shocked everyone in the bank. The manager's fate was decided instantly, right there on the spot. You won't believe how quickly things unraveled when the higher-ups got involved. Stay tuned to find out how Marcus's story took an unexpected turn, one that left the entire bank in disbelief. As the tension in the bank hung thick in the air, the branch manager, visibly shaken, tried to regain her composure. But it was too late. The damage had been done. Marcus stood there, his jaw clenched, his pride bruised, not because of the mistake, but because of how quickly he had been judged without question. The room grew eerily silent as whispers turned into stunned gasps. Jenna, the young teller who had discovered the truth, felt a mix of relief and fear. She had done the right thing, but she knew the fallout was just beginning. Marcus didn't yell or cause a scene. His calmness spoke louder than any words could. He simply asked to speak to the regional manager. It was a request no one could deny. Within minutes, the regional manager, Mr. Thompson, arrived, his sharp suit and authoritative presence cutting through the tension like a knife. He listened carefully as Marcus explained the situation, his voice steady but filled with quiet frustration. Jenna backed up Marcus' account, showing the undeniable proof on her screen. Mr. Thompson's face grew stern as he turned to the branch manager. She stumbled over her words, trying to explain her actions, blaming confusion, protocol, anything but the truth. But Mr. Thompson wasn't having it. He asked her one simple question. Asterisk, did you even verify his ID before calling security? Asterisk, the silence that followed was louder than any argument. She hadn't. She never gave Marcus a chance. The regional manager's decision was swift and shocking. Right there, in front of customers and staff, he terminated the manager on the spot. No private office, no soft landing. Just a blunt end to her career at the bank. But even as she packed her things, the tension didn't fade. Marcus had been vindicated, but the scars of that moment ran deeper than a simple apology or a firing could fix. What was it about Marcus that led to such quick judgment? Why did the manager assume the worst without a second thought? As Marcus left the bank that day, these questions lingered, not just in his mind, but in the minds of everyone who had witnessed the incident. But Marcus's story wasn't over yet. What happened next would spark a chain of events that no one saw coming. Jenna knew she had to do something. She secretly took photos of the emails, knowing the risk. If she got caught, she could lose her job, or worse. But staying silent wasn't an option anymore. She reached out to Marcus anonymously, sending him the screenshots. When Marcus saw the emails, his frustration turned to something else, fury mixed with determination. This wasn't just personal anymore. The bank wasn't just trying to cover up what happened, they were actively trying to undermine him. Marcus decided to go public. A press conference was scheduled, the tension building with every passing day. The media buzzed with anticipation. Crowds gathered, cameras ready, reporters jostling for position. As Marcus stepped up to the microphone, the weight of everything he'd been through pressed on his shoulders, but he stood tall, his voice steady. What he was about to reveal would shock everyone, exposing not just a single act of discrimination, but a pattern that reached far beyond one branch, one manager, or one incident. And just as he opened his mouth to speak, something unexpected happened, something that would change everything. Just as Marcus stepped up to the microphone, ready to expose everything, the discrimination, the cover-up, the emails, a voice shouted from the crowd. It cut through the noise like a blade. Marcus, tell them the whole truth. Heads snapped in the direction of the voice. A woman was pushing her way forward, her face tense, her eyes locked on Marcus. Security hesitated, unsure she was a threat, but Marcus raised his hand slightly, signaling them to let her through. The woman introduced herself as Camille, a former high-ranking employee at the same bank's corporate office. Her sudden appearance wasn't part of Marcus's plan, but what she had to say would turn everything upside down. Camille claimed she had evidence even more damning than the emails Jenna had found. She said the bank had been running an internal program, unofficial, undocumented, that flagged certain customers for additional verification protocols. The criteria for this so-called security measure weren't based on account activity or fraud risk. They were based on profiling, plain and simple. Marcus had been flagged without ever knowing it. The crowd gasped, reporters furiously scribbling notes and adjusting their cameras. Marcus's heart raced. He had known the problem was bigger than just one manager, but this was systemic, deliberate, and orchestrated from the top down. Camille pulled out a flash drive, holding it up like it was a piece of evidence in a courtroom. She claimed it contained internal documents, memos, even meeting notes that detailed how the program operated and who it targeted. Marcus looked at his attorney, both of them realizing the stakes had just skyrocketed. This wasn't just a personal battle anymore. It was about exposing an entire corporate culture built on quiet discrimination, hidden behind polished PR statements and corporate jargon. The press conference erupted into chaos, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing. But before Marcus or Camille could say more, something unexpected happened. Security from the bank's corporate office, who had been quietly observing from the sidelines, rushed forward. They weren't there to protect anyone. They were there to stop Camille. In the commotion, the flash drive slipped from Camille's hand, skidding across the pavement. Marcus dove for it as security tried to intercept. The crowd surged, people shouting, cameras rolling, capturing every second of the chaos. As Marcus clutched the flash drive in his hand, breathless and surrounded, he realized the bank would do anything to keep the truth buried. But it was too late. The truth was already out there, or was it? Marcus clutched the flash drive tightly, his heart pounding as security tried to push through the chaotic crowd. Reporters shouted questions, cameras captured every angle, and the tension reached a boiling point. Camille was pulled back by security, struggling to break free, but her eyes met Marcus's, filled with urgency. She mouthed one word, run. Without thinking, Marcus bolted through the crowd, slipping past the confusion. The flash drive felt like it weighed a ton in his pocket, not because of its size, but because of what it held, the truth. He didn't stop until he reached his car, locking the doors and driving straight to his attorney's office. The streets blurred past him, but his mind was sharp, racing through everything that had just happened. The incident at the bank didn't just end when Marcus walked out the door. In fact, it was only the beginning. Word of what had happened spread quickly, not just among the staff, but throughout the community. Someone had captured a part of the confrontation on their phone, a shaky video showing Marcus standing calmly as the manager called security without cause. By the next day, that video was circulating on social media, sparking outrage and heated debates. People were divided. Some defended the manager's actions, claiming she was just doing her job, while others saw it for what it truly was, a clear case of bias and discrimination. Marcus hadn't planned on becoming the center of attention. He was a private man, a small business owner who had worked hard to build his life. But now his face was everywhere, and reporters were reaching out, wanting interviews. At first, he declined. He didn't want to relive the humiliation. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized this wasn't just about him. It was about the countless others who experienced the same treatment but didn't have an audience to witness it. Meanwhile, inside the bank, the tension hadn't disappeared with the manager's firing. Jenna found herself caught in the middle. Some of her co-workers praised her for speaking up, but others whispered behind her back, accusing her of betraying one of their own. She started noticing changes, how hours were cut, small mistakes she never made before suddenly appeared on her record, and the friendly faces she used to trust grew distant. It became clear that standing up for what was right had put a target on her back. Marcus decided to meet with a civil rights attorney, not because he wanted revenge, but because he wanted accountability. The attorney listened carefully, nodding as Marcus recounted every detail. But then she leaned in and said something that caught Marcus off guard. Asterisk, this isn't just about one manager. This could go deeper than you think. Asterisk. Marcus left that meeting with a new sense of purpose and even more questions. What if this wasn't an isolated incident? What if the problem was rooted in the bank's very culture? As he stood outside the law office, looking out over the city, he knew one thing for sure. Marcus, who never wanted the spotlight, found himself as the face of a movement. But just when it seemed like everything had been uncovered, a final twist emerged. Among the files on the flash drive was an internal memo dated weeks before Marcus's incident at the bank. It revealed that corporate had already been aware of multiple similar complaints, but had instructed managers to handle them quietly, without public attention. The kicker: the manager who had humiliated Marcus hadn't acted entirely on her own bias. She was following subtle but clear directives from above. She was just a small part of a much larger machine. Marcus realized that while individuals had been held accountable, the deeper issue wasn't just about a single manager or a single bank. It was about a system designed to protect itself at any cost. And that fight was far from over. In the aftermath of the revelations, the fallout was massive. The bank faced intense public backlash, government investigations, and class action lawsuits from customers who had experienced similar discrimination. The corporate executives who had tried to bury the truth were forced to testify before regulatory committees, their carefully crafted reputations crumbling under the weight of undeniable evidence. Financial penalties followed, but more importantly, the bank's name was tarnished in a way no PR campaign could repair. Marcus found himself navigating a life he never expected. He wasn't just the man who'd been denied access to his own account anymore. He was a symbol of resilience, a voice for those who had been quietly dismissed for far too long. Though he never sought fame, his courage inspired others to speak up about injustices they have faced, both within the banking system and beyond. He worked closely with advocacy groups to push for policy changes, ensuring stronger protections against discrimination in financial institutions. Jenna, the teller who had risked everything to tell the truth, eventually left the bank, but her bravery didn't go unnoticed. She was offered a position with an organization focused on corporate ethics and whistleblower protections, a role where her voice mattered, and her integrity was valued. Camille, the whistleblower who exposed the bank's darkest secrets, found purpose in helping others like her navigate the risks of standing up against powerful institutions. As for Marcus, he continued running his small business, but with a new sense of purpose. The experience had changed him, not by breaking him, but by revealing the strength he never knew he had. He often reflected on how a simple trip to the bank had spiraled into something much bigger, uncovering not just personal injustice, but a systemic issue hidden in plain sight. The story wasn't just about what